In this video, I will introduce Padlet. Padlet is a web-based tool for collaboration, for brainstorming, for sharing ideas, and for recording and archiving ideas. To get to Padlet, you go to padlet.com. If you want to be able to create new Padlet workspaces for collaboration, you'll need to create a free account. If you only want your students to be able to contribute to a Padlet and not create their own, they won't even need a login. They'll just need the URL that you give them. But for you as the instructor, once you're logged in with your free account, this is what you'll see. You'll see a dashboard with any Padlets that you've previously created. Let me show you what a Padlet looks like. This is one that I created for my Information Communications and Technology class. In this instance, the students had been talking about persuasive speaking and persuasive writing in class. And to start out the class, I just wanted them to think about why they should care about being a persuasive speaker or a persuasive writer. So I asked them the question in class: when will you use persuasion in your future professions? And I told them that they needed to go to this URL and post what their profession will be and when they will have to use persuasion. And so right there in class, they just quickly went on their phones or on their computers and they typed in these answers. And so then I could use those as a jumping off point for more conversation in my class. Okay, so let's see how we would create a new Padlet for a class. When I'm logged in on my dashboard, if I go up to the top right, I will see the button New Padlet. I click on that. And I get a new bright red Padlet. The background it chooses is random. You'll get something different every time, but you'll get a chance to change that. And over here on this configuration screen, the first thing I get a chance to do is give my Padlet a title. So maybe this time I've moved on in my class and we've been discussing critical thinking versus creative thinking. So I'll call this one Critical versus Creative Thinking, which I apparently can't spell right. And then I can give it a description if I want. If I scroll down a little bit, I can choose whether I want the notes that my students post up here to be freeform, they can just post them anywhere, or laid out in a grid, or laid out in a stream. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it freeform. And then here I can choose wallpapers. If I don't like this bright red, I can click on More and just scroll through a bunch of free backgrounds. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one because I'm going to want students to do things in categories, as you'll see in a minute. Now, back on this first page of the configuration of your Padlet, I'm going to scroll down a little bit more until I get to the very bottom and I see address. This is the URL that you'll be giving your students. Padlet.com, the name of your account, / and this number. This number is impossible, right? So you can change it and give it a more user-friendly name. I am going to go ahead and call this one Critical Creative Thinking. So now the address that I will give to my students will be Padlet.com, my username, Critical Creative Thinking. That's a whole lot easier for them to remember than that god-awful number. Once I've done that, I click Next. The next screen that I get to create my Padlet, it talks about privacy. If I mark my Padlet private, that means you'll have to have my username and password in order to add anything to it or even see it. If I mark it password protected, then the students will need a password that you will provide to them in order to be able to add information, contributions to the Padlet. If you mark it secret, then the students will need the URL in order to get to the Padlet. That's probably your best option. If you mark it public, then anybody can access the Padlet and add to it. Now, once somebody gets to the Padlet, what can they do? Your choices are they can read only, they can write, or they can moderate, which means they can move posts around, they can delete them, things like that. I'm just going to leave it at can write. Then I'm going to click next, and that's it. I'm ready to start posting. So if I want to post some initial posts, I'll just go down here to this pink button, and I'll click on it, and that gives me my first little text box to write in. Now, I don't like where that's positioned, so if I just put my mouse on it and drag it, I can put it up at the top of this category. If I want to add something else, and so now I've made little categories. You don't have to do that. You can just tell them to post on a topic. And I'm ready to turn this loose on my students. So I give them that URL. When they go to the page, not logged in at all, to the URL that you've given them, this is what they see. And they can do this on their phones or on a computer or anything they want. These categories that I wrote, they can't change them or move them or edit them because they didn't write them. But they can click down here and write their own thing. And then since this is their own post, they can drag it into the right category. If they change their mind later and they want to put something else, when they click on their own post, they get the edit button so they can make changes to it, or they can delete it. But they can only do that on their own posts. As they can click on the little button to add posts as many times as they want to, and there's absolutely no limit on the number of people who can add things at once. So you can post this up on your projector in class and have students go at it, and stuff will just pop up like crazy. It's a great way to brainstorm or give students an opportunity to contribute in class actively, even if they're a little shy and they don't want to speak out.